Pause for a moment. Everything you've believed about yourself, your limits, your potential, your identity, has likely been shaped by a very narrow slice of reality. You've been taught to see the world as physical, linear, and static. You've been conditioned to think of yourself as a singular, unchangeable entity operating within fixed boundaries of time and space. But here's the truth that reshapes everything. You are not confined to your body. You are not defined by your past. And you are certainly not limited by the visible world around you. There is a deeper, untapped blueprint, a multidimensional design encoded within your consciousness that holds the key to levels of transformation most people never access. This is not metaphor. This is not philosophy. This is the edge of science and metaphysics colliding into one undeniable realization. You are energy, and energy obeys a different set of rules. In this series, you'll be introduced to a concept called the quantum self, a version of you that is not confined to the timeline you currently occupy. This version exists beyond space, beyond logic, and operates according to principles that modern quantum physics and ancient spiritual traditions are just beginning to agree on. We're going to examine the unseen architecture of your energetic design, the science of frequency and coherence, the illusion of linear time, and the parallel realities that respond to your awareness like mirrors. We'll break down the observer effect and how your attention literally shifts the shape of your world. You'll learn how to access thought streams beyond the mind you've known, how to upgrade your physical body through intention, and how to manifest not by hoping but by aligning. This isn't about theory. This is about activation. By the end of this journey, you'll not only understand how your quantum self functions, you'll know how to engage it. Not through belief, but through direct experience. So if you're seeking more than just information, if you're ready to move from passive existence into conscious creation, if you feel a pull towards something vast, ancient, and powerful stirring beneath the surface of your daily life, keep watching. Everything is about to change. Let's begin. Take a breath. Feel the subtle hum beneath your skin. That's not just your pulse. It's the signal of a system that science has barely begun to quantify, but mystics have mapped for centuries. You are running on a blueprint that predates your physical form, a matrix of energy that silently governs how you think, feel, move, and even how reality responds to you. This is your energetic architecture, the hidden operating system of your being. It's not visible to the naked eye, but it's as real as your heartbeat. And until you learn to access and work with it, much of your power remains dormant. Let's start with the core, your energy centers. These are often referred to as chakras, and whether or not you've studied them before, they are far more than just colorful wheels on a diagram. Each center is a dynamic hub that receives, processes, and transmits energy related to specific aspects of your physical and emotional experience. From your survival instincts to your ability to express truth, these centers shape how you operate in the world and how the world responds to you. But that's only part of the picture. Running through and around your body are meridians and nadis, channels of subtle energy that connect these centers, forming a vast, intricate network. They function like energetic highways, and when they are clear, energy flows freely. When they're blocked, resistance shows up in your emotions, health, and even your external circumstances. Now layer on the aura, your multidimensional field of consciousness that expands beyond the skin. This isn't just a spiritual idea, it's measurable. Research in biofield science and quantum biology is showing that your body emits electromagnetic frequencies, and this energetic shell influences and is influenced by your environment. Here's where things get more interesting. Quantum theory suggests that matter is not solid. It's vibrating energy held in pattern. Your thoughts, emotions, and experiences are not random. They are structured by patterns of resonance. And your energetic blueprint is the code that determines those patterns. That means your health, relationships, finances, opportunities, they are not just results of choices or habits. They are projections of your energetic configuration. Most people try to change their lives by pushing harder in the physical world. But that's like rearranging the furniture in a hologram and expecting the code to change. True transformation begins with the source code, the energetic template beneath the surface. And here's the good news. This blueprint is not fixed. It is responsive. It evolves with awareness. When you begin to consciously work with your chakras, clear your energetic pathways, and activate coherence in your field, the physical world starts to reorganize itself around you. You start attracting different outcomes, syncing with different people, and experiencing deeper levels of intuition and vitality. But to activate this blueprint, you must first become aware of it. Start with awareness of your body, not just the physical sensations but the subtle cues, the tension that holds energy, the emotions that aren't fully processed. These are gateways into your energetic system. Next, begin to observe your patterns. Where do you always feel blocked? Where does energy feel stuck? These areas correspond to specific energetic centers, and each one has its own language. Learn to read that language. From there, you can begin intentional practices, like breathwork, movement, and visualization, not as rituals, but as tools to restore flow in your energetic matrix. This isn't about escaping the body, it's about learning to operate it from a higher perspective. When you understand that your blueprint governs your experience, the question is no longer, how do I fix this? It becomes, how do I reprogram the source code? And that's where quantum transformation begins. Your energy field is not static. It is in constant communication with the quantum field around you. Every shift in your internal vibration sends a ripple through that field, and what returns is always a match. By working with the hidden architecture of your energy, you step into a role most people never consider. You become a conscious coder of your reality. Next, we'll go deeper. You'll learn how frequency is not just a feeling. It's the very fabric of your life, and how mastering your vibration changes everything from your mindset to your external world. But first, pause, feel, tune in. Your blueprint is already active. It's just waiting for you to remember how to use it. There is a reason why some people seem to radiate effortless success, connection, and health, while others struggle against invisible resistance at every turn. That reason isn't luck, it isn't talent, and it isn't circumstance. It's frequency. The reality you live in is not built from solid objects and fixed laws. It's constructed from patterns of vibration, oscillating fields of energy that encode everything from your biology to your beliefs. And the truth is, you're not just surrounded by frequency. You are frequency. Your body, your brain, your emotions, all of it is vibrating. Science confirms this through disciplines like quantum mechanics, cymatics, and biofield research. Every atom within you is in motion, but this motion isn't random. It's structured, it's rhythmic, and it has a measurable frequency. That frequency isn't passive. It's creative. It's communicative. It determines how you interact with the field of infinite possibilities that surrounds you, the field that some call the quantum field, others call the unified field, and ancient traditions have long referred to as the ether or divine intelligence. Whatever name you give it, the principle remains the same. This field responds not to your wishes or your words, but to the vibration you hold. Let's strip this down to the essentials. Everything is energy. That energy moves in waves. Waves have frequency. Frequency can be measured in hertz, units that describe how fast something is vibrating per second. Lower frequencies correspond to slower, denser, more chaotic movement. Higher frequencies are faster, more coherent, and more refined. When you're operating in lower emotional states, fear, anger, shame, your energy field contracts. The frequency you emit becomes jagged, inconsistent, and incoherent. In this state, it's nearly impossible to align with higher-level experiences because the field is simply mirroring back the distortion you're broadcasting. On the other hand, when you're operating in higher emotional states, joy, gratitude, love, your field expands. Your frequency becomes harmonious, organized, and magnetic. You start to sync with experiences, people, and ideas that are vibrating at a similar level. This is not poetic metaphor. This is energetic law. And here's where it gets personal. You don't have a single frequency. You are a symphony of vibrations, mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual layers, all broadcasting signals into the field around you. Your thoughts are electric. Your emotions are magnetic. Together, they form your electromagnetic signature, your vibrational ID. That signal determines what you perceive, what you attract, and what you create. Let's talk resonance. In physics, resonance occurs when one vibrating system causes another to vibrate at a similar frequency. In your life, this shows up as alignment. You meet someone and instantly connect. You have a thought and the right opportunity appears. These aren't coincidences. They are resonant matches. Now consider the opposite, when nothing works, when effort leads nowhere, when things feel out of sync. That's energetic dissonance. It means your internal signal is not a match for the outcomes you desire. So the key question becomes, how do you change your frequency? You begin by becoming aware of it. Start observing your emotional baseline. How do you feel most of the time, not just on the surface but underneath the routine and distraction? What emotional state are you broadcasting into the field as your dominant signal? Next, look at your thought patterns. Are they rooted in possibility or limitation? Expansion or contraction? Are you thinking from the perspective of the version of you who has already aligned with your higher potential, or from the frequency of the old story that says you're not ready, not worthy, or not capable? This awareness alone starts to shift your signal. Then comes activation. Breath is one of the fastest ways to influence your vibration. Conscious, coherent breathing patterns increase heart-brain synchronization, which creates a measurable rise in your vibrational coherence. Studies in heart rate variability and neurocardiology show that even 2 minutes of focused breathing can elevate your frequency and bring you into alignment with clarity, calm, and intuitive insight. Another powerful frequency shifter is sound. Sound healing practices like tuning forks, binaural beats, and vocal toning don't just feel good, they work directly on your energy field. They bring disordered systems back into resonance. That's not magic, it's physics. But perhaps the most transformative tool is emotionally charged intention. When you set a clear intention and charge it with a matching emotional frequency, such as joy, gratitude, or love, you send a coherent wave into the field. This wave acts like a signal flare. It says, I am aligned with this outcome. I'm not waiting for it. I'm vibrating with it now. The field responds by organizing matter and circumstance to reflect that alignment. Of course, this doesn't mean everything manifests instantly. We're still interacting with the momentum of past vibrations, collective energy, and the density of form. But what it does mean is that your power to shape experience increases exponentially when you master your vibration. This is how frequency becomes reality. Not through effort, but through energetic precision. And here's a key truth most people overlook. Your vibration is not fixed. It fluctuates. That's natural. You're not here to be robotic or emotionless, but you are here to become aware of your state and learn how to shift it consciously, consistently, and skillfully. You are not your thoughts. You are not your moods. You are not your stories. You are the awareness that can choose a new frequency at any moment. So the next time something feels out of reach, the next time you feel disconnected or stuck, ask yourself, what frequency am I holding? And what frequency is required for the version of me who already lives that reality? That question is the pivot. That shift is the key. That awareness is the practice. You're not here to force life into shape. You're here to vibrate in harmony with the possibilities already encoded in your field. And when you learn to do that with clarity, consistency, and trust, reality changes. Next, we'll examine the concept of time, not as a fixed structure, but as a fluid dimension that responds to your awareness. You'll learn how to stop chasing outcomes and start accessing the power of the present to shift timelines in real time. Stay tuned. This is only beginning to unfold. Most people live like time is a river pulling them forward without pause or control. They're taught to look behind for meaning and ahead for fulfillment, while the present becomes little more than a waiting room. But time is not what it appears. It's not fixed, linear, or rigid. It's not a ruler moving in one direction. It's a construct, and you're not at the mercy of it. You're interacting with it, constantly. Time feels absolute because you've been trained to experience it that way. From clocks, calendars, routines, aging, everything around you reinforces the illusion that time is passing and that you're moving through it like a passenger on a track. But quantum physics paints a very different picture. In the quantum model, time isn't something outside of you. It's part of your perceptual framework. Events don't exist in a tidy chain of cause and effect. They exist as probabilities. Moments don't happen in sequence. They are accessed, experienced, chosen. The present isn't just the middle point between past and future. It's the only place where reality is actually generated. Here's what this means. The past doesn't hold you. The future doesn't wait for you. They are both frequencies, information fields encoded with emotional resonance and belief systems. You interact with them based on where your awareness is anchored right now. So if you're constantly revisiting your past failures or reliving emotional pain, you're not just remembering, you're tuning back into that frequency and bringing it into the present. Likewise, if you're always projecting into a future defined by fear or doubt, you're leaking energy into outcomes you don't want. And the more attention you place on those timelines, the more real they become, because you are activating them through the power of focus. But when you master the now, everything changes. Let's break this down. Every moment carries a unique energetic signature. Your consciousness is like a tuning dial. Where you place it determines the timeline you access. That's not fantasy. That's how parallel probabilities work in the quantum field. You don't move through time. Time responds to your frequency. This is why being fully present isn't just a relaxation technique. It's a dimensional key. When you're fully present, your awareness collapses potential into experience. You're no longer scattered across memories and expectations. You're focused, aligned, magnetic. That focus amplifies your energy, and the field around you responds with increased synchronicity, clarity, and momentum. But here's the challenge. The mind resists the now. It's addicted to reviewing what already happened and preparing for what might. It seeks safety in repetition and control. That's why most people struggle to stay present. They haven't trained their awareness to disengage from mental time loops. So how do you reclaim the power of the now? Start by recognizing when you're not in it. That moment you start spiraling into regret, doubt, or anxious projection. Pause. Feel your body. Notice your breath. Listen to what's around you. That simple shift pulls your awareness out of the mental timeline and back into energetic presence. Next, bring your intention into the moment. Ask yourself, what version of me do I choose to activate right now? Because the now is not passive. It's creative. And the version of you aligned with your highest potential exists here. Not somewhere in the future waiting to arrive, but here, encoded in the present moment, waiting to be activated. This brings us to the concept of timeline shifting. You're not stuck on one track. You're surrounded by infinite versions of yourself, each one living a life based on slightly different choices, beliefs, and vibrations. These aren't science fiction ideas. They're supported by interpretations of quantum superposition and the multiverse. Your access point to those timelines is now. By shifting your thoughts, emotions, and behaviors in the present, you shift the trajectory of your life, not by changing the past, but by changing the alignment of your current frequency with a different potential outcome. You're not predicting the future. You're selecting from it. Here's a practical exercise to start tuning into that power. Close your eyes and bring your awareness into your breath. Let everything else go. Feel the moment as it is. Now ask, what reality am I aligned with right now? Don't answer with logic. Feel it. Notice the subtle cues, your emotional state, your mental tone, the sense of movement or stagnation. Then ask, what frequency must I hold to align with the reality I desire? Hold that frequency in your body. Don't think about the future. Feel it as now. This is how you shift timelines, not by forcing change, but by aligning your present state signature with the frequency of the outcome already available to you. And here's what makes this so transformative. When you consistently hold a new frequency in the now, reality begins to mirror it. You start receiving confirmation, small signs, synchronicities, unexpected breakthroughs. These aren't accidents. They're quantum echoes, signals that you're anchoring into a new version of your life. But it all depends on one thing, your presence. The longer you can sustain coherent awareness in the now, the more stable your timeline becomes. The faster you try to get there, the more you reinforce the belief that you're not there yet, and that keeps you locked in a loop. So instead of chasing transformation, become it. In this moment, you're not moving through time. Time is moving through you. When you understand this, you stop waiting for perfect conditions. You stop looping through old identity patterns. You stop outsourcing your power to some future event. You realize that the doorway to every version of you already exists, and the key is awareness. Time doesn't limit you. Your attachment to linear thinking does. But when you release the need to analyze the past or control the future, something extraordinary happens. You begin to shape time from the inside out. You slow it down, speed it up, stretch it, collapse it, and most importantly, you use it consciously. This isn't about escaping the responsibilities of daily life. It's about showing up with a deeper understanding of how reality functions. When you master the now, you no longer live reactively. You live creatively, deliberately, quantum ly. In the next exploration, we move into a dimension that's even more mysterious, parallel realities. You'll learn how multiple versions of you are operating simultaneously, and how you can sync with the version that is already living the life you've sensed is possible. This is the technology of consciousness, and you're beginning to remember how to use it. There is a version of you who never second-guesses your purpose. Another who wakes up every day energized and aligned. And still another whose life already reflects the dreams you're still reaching for. These aren't fantasies. They're not symbolic either. They're real, operating in real time, just not in the timeline you're currently aware of. You exist in more than one version, more than one reality. This is not theory. It's physics. In quantum mechanics, there's a concept known as superposition. At the subatomic level, particles exist in multiple states at once until observed. They don't commit to a single location or behavior. They exist as probabilities, not absolutes. Now extend that principle to consciousness, to identity, to your life. Your consciousness is not fixed to one identity stream. It is an awareness field capable of accessing multiple variations of the self, each one formed by slightly different choices, beliefs, and energy patterns. What you experience as your life is simply the version your consciousness is currently tuned into. But it's not the only one available, not even close. Every decision you've made or could have made branches into a different version of you. And every single one of those versions is alive in its own timeline. Not in the future, not in memory, but now. So when you sense that there's a better version of your life, more aligned, more fulfilled, more powerful, that's not wishful thinking. That's resonance. You're picking up the signal of a parallel self. These selves are not strangers. They are extensions of your consciousness. They live in probable realities just adjacent to the one you're in right now. Each one is real. Each one has access to different opportunities, relationships, states of health, and levels of awareness. And here's the key: your consciousness can shift between them. Not through time travel, not by escaping the life you're in, but by adjusting your frequency to match the version you want to inhabit. Let's get practical. Every version of you, every probable self, has a specific emotional, mental, and energetic signature. Think of each one as a radio station broadcasting its own song. When you tune in through your beliefs, focus, and emotional state, your reality begins to sync with that signal. That's not metaphysical witchcraft. That's vibrational alignment. So instead of trying to become a better version of yourself someday, you shift your awareness to the timeline where that version already exists and start operating from that state. You don't build the version of you who is confident, abundant, clear. You align with them. You become them by syncing with their frequency. Here's how this works in real time. Let's say you're currently in a version of reality where you feel stuck, uninspired, overwhelmed, disconnected. And somewhere inside, you sense that a freer, more fulfilled version of you exists. You don't try to fix your current state by force. You tune to the frequency of the version who's already thriving. You ask, how does that version think? What do they believe is true? What do they feel when they wake up in the morning? What choices do they make without hesitation? Then you begin to embody those states emotionally, mentally, and physically. Even before anything changes outside of you, something begins shifting within. And the moment you hold that state long enough, reality catches up. This is called conscious timeline shifting. It's not about pretending. It's not about bypassing reality. It's about matching the internal frequency of a new probable self and stabilizing your awareness there. You're not forcing anything. You're selecting. You're moving between versions of reality not by wishing, but by matching. And every time you make a decision from that aligned self, every time you speak, move, and feel from that state, you reinforce the timeline. You start anchoring into the version of life that once felt distant. Let's explore the science behind this. In quantum theory, reality exists as a field of infinite probabilities until it is observed. Consciousness is the activating agent. You are the observer, and what you observe with emotion, focus, and belief collapses potential into experience. Each possible self is a node in that field, and your consciousness, by the nature of your attention, chooses which one becomes visible. Not once, continuously. This is why random breakthroughs or spontaneous shifts in life often feel surreal. You haven't just succeeded, you've shifted. You've moved to a different version of your reality. And while the physical world adjusts gradually, the energetic change happens instantly. There's one more important concept to bring into focus: residual identity drag. Even when you begin aligning with a higher version of yourself, your nervous system and subconscious programming may still be tuned to the old self. You start acting with new confidence, but an old fear whispers, "This isn't who you are." That's not a sign of failure. That's evidence that a shift is occurring. You are crossing timelines, and the old vibration is trying to hold its place. But it only has power if you reactivate it. When you feel that pull back into limitation, pause. Recognize it. Don't fight it. Just don't energize it. Bring your awareness back to the self you're choosing now. Over time, your nervous system catches up. The new frequency stabilizes. The old narrative fades out. So how do you consciously access your parallel selves? Start with awareness. Begin to sense the variations of you that feel closer to your truth. Not through fantasy, but through frequency. Feel them. Listen to how they move through the world. Notice their inner state. Then engage in identity rehearsal. Speak as them. Think as them. Walk as them. Not in future tense, but now. Every moment you do this, you pull your consciousness closer to that version. You begin resonating with their timeline, and the outer world begins to reconfigure to meet that match. The shift doesn't happen when the evidence shows up. It happens when you stop waiting for it and start being it. You are not one fixed self moving through a single life. You are a field of awareness navigating infinite versions of experience. And the choice of which version you live, that's not random. It's not fate. It's alignment. So choose with clarity. Feel with intention. Act with precision. Because the version of you who's already living your next level, they're not somewhere out there. They're here, waiting for you to sync. In the next exploration, you'll discover how to harness the full power of quantum visualization. Not to daydream about the life you want, but to program your reality at the deepest level through focused, vibrational intent. Get ready to learn how your inner world becomes the code that rewrites everything. There's a reason visualizing your goals sometimes feels pointless. A reason it can seem like you're imagining, affirming, even scripting every day and nothing happens. You feel the desire. You create the mental picture, but reality doesn't respond. That's not because you're doing it wrong. It's because the method most people use is incomplete. Visualization isn't about fantasy. It's not a mental escape. It's not wishful thinking projected into the unknown. It's a precision tool, an interface for programming reality using the language of frequency. You are not visualizing just to see. You are visualizing to create, to send a coherent signal into the quantum field. And for that signal to work, 3 elements must be present: clarity, emotion, and resonance. Mental images without emotion carry no power. Emotion without clarity scatters energy. Both without resonance fail to create a match in the field. So when you learn to combine visual intent with the emotional frequency of already having it, and anchor both into your body in real time, you start aligning your energy blueprint with the version of reality where that experience already exists. Let's start by redefining what visualization is. It's not passive imagination. It's energetic rehearsal. You are literally rehearsing the vibration of a future memory. Not to trick your brain, but to activate the version of you that already lives in that state. In neuroscience, this is known as mental simulation. Studies show that the brain doesn't distinguish between vividly imagined experiences and physical ones. When you visualize with intensity, your neural circuits fire as if the event is real. Your body begins producing the chemistry that matches the imagined reality. From the quantum perspective, that chemistry is a frequency broadcast. Your electromagnetic field shifts. You start emitting the same signal that the experience you're tuning into would naturally generate. And the quantum field? It responds not to what you want, but to what you broadcast. So instead of visualizing what you hope to experience one day, you enter the state of the version of you who's already living it. You're not watching a movie. You're stepping into a memory. One that hasn't happened yet, but already exists in the field. Feel that difference. One comes from lack. The other comes from access. Let's talk mechanics. Start by choosing one specific experience, not a vague desire, but a precise outcome. Make it as sensory-rich as possible. Not just where you are, but what you see, hear, smell, touch. Then go deeper. Focus on how it feels in your body to already be there. Not the excitement of getting it someday, but the natural rhythm of already living in it. That's the access point. That's the frequency key. Then, bring breath into the picture. Sync your breathing with your visualization, not shallow or rapid, but slow and intentional. This creates coherence between heart and brain, and brings your nervous system into a relaxed, receptive state. You're not visualizing from desperation. You're visualizing from energetic authority. Now, drop the need to analyze. Don't ask when it will happen. Don't look for signs. That splits your frequency. That activates doubt. Instead, return to the image, the emotion, the breath, again and again. Train your body to live in the feeling of the future now. That repetition strengthens your alignment. And then, without effort, without force, the world begins to reorganize around your new signal. Here's the trap most people fall into. They visualize based on what they want to escape. They see a better job because they hate their current one. They picture more money because they fear lack. They imagine love because they feel alone. In those cases, visualization becomes resistance, not creation. The emotional frequency being broadcast is tied to what's missing, not what's being selected. The quantum field doesn't respond to surface images. It responds to total energetic signature, which means you must become the version of yourself who already feels complete before the shift appears. That's not pretending. It's programming. And you don't have to sit in silence for hours to activate this. Microvisualization is just as powerful. Taking 30 seconds to enter that frequency state throughout your day. At a red light, before a conversation, after a negative thought. Each time, you're reinforcing the neural and energetic pathways that make your desired timeline more stable. You're coding it into your field. Let's address something crucial: emotional congruence. If you visualize abundance but constantly affirm your limitations, you cancel out the signal. If you imagine connection but carry fear of vulnerability, your field sends mixed frequencies. That's why visualization is not just a mental exercise. It's an identity shift. You're not using the image to get the result. You're using it to become the self that matches the result. And when that shift occurs, your desires stop feeling distant. They start feeling familiar, like memories instead of fantasies. Here's a tool to amplify your practice: multisensory anchoring. As you visualize, engage more than sight. Add sound, either imagined or real. Add movement, like standing or walking while you hold the image. Add touch, pressing your fingers together, holding an object that represents the experience. Each added layer makes the signal more robust. Each repetition teaches your body that this experience is normal. And the more normal it feels, the faster your field aligns with it. There's another layer of mastery here: letting go. Once you've visualized with clarity, emotion, and resonance, release it, not as in forgetting, but in trusting. Don't revisit it out of anxiety. Don't look for proof. Just return to the feeling as often as possible without trying to make it happen. The field doesn't operate on pressure. It operates on alignment. You don't chase the outcome. You stabilize the state. Now let's be direct. You won't always feel it instantly. Some days your mind will fight it. Some days the image won't come. Some days the doubt will creep in. That's okay. The key is repetition, not perfection. Every time you return to the signal, you reinforce the shift. You overwrite the old code. You become less reactive and more creative. You stop waiting for change and start broadcasting it. This is the evolution of visualization. Not a passive tool, but a conscious act of energetic authorship. You are the programmer. The image is your command. The emotion is the password. The frequency is the signal. And reality is the screen that reflects it all. So choose clearly. Feel fully. Hold consistently. Your quantum self already knows how to do this. You're just remembering. In the next phase, we'll examine something equally powerful, the observer effect. You'll discover how your very act of attention alters the fabric of reality, and how the precision of your awareness becomes a tool for transformation. Everything you look at responds. It's time to learn how. There is a phenomenon in quantum physics so strange, it redefined our understanding of reality. It's not a theory. It's not spiritual metaphor. It's a measurable, repeatable truth. The very act of observation changes the outcome. Particles behave differently when observed. They shift from a cloud of probabilities into a defined state the moment attention is placed on them. This is known as the observer effect. And it doesn't just apply to atoms. It applies to you. Your attention is not passive. It's not neutral. It is one of the most powerful forces in the universe. Where you place it shapes what becomes real in your life. Not in a symbolic way, but in an actual, trackable, energetic way. The moment you focus on something, an idea, a belief, a problem, a possibility, you start collapsing the infinite options available in the quantum field into one dominant outcome. You don't see the world as it is. You see the world as you observe it to be. Let's start by reframing how we think about awareness. Your consciousness is not just something that perceives. It's something that interacts. Your gaze carries energy. Your thoughts carry frequency. Your expectations carry weight. When you observe something with intensity, whether it's fear or desire, love or doubt, you begin anchoring that pattern into form. So when you constantly focus on what's not working, you're not just noticing it, you're energizing it. You're reinforcing its structure. You're feeding that version of reality with your attention. This is not about blame. It's about precision. You are the observer, and that means you are the selector. The power of observation lies not just in what you notice, but in how you notice. Are you observing through lack, through frustration, through limitation? Or are you observing with curiosity, presence, and possibility? Because your frequency while observing determines what pattern the field collapses into. Let's get specific. The quantum double-slit experiment shows us that particles behave like waves of potential until measured. When observed, they collapse into a defined particle path. No observer, no collapse, just infinite possibilities. Now scale that concept into your daily life, your finances, your relationships, your health, your purpose. Each of these exists in multiple forms, ranging from chaos to harmony, fear to abundance. And what you consistently observe becomes stable. It becomes the dominant timeline. That's why people stay in loops. They keep looking at the same problem, talking about the same lack, analyzing the same pain, so they keep energizing it. They're not unlucky. They're unaware of how their attention is coding their experience. So what do you do differently? You begin to observe with intentionality. When something isn't working, don't just look at it. Change how you look at it. Shift your gaze from judgment to neutrality, from fear to opportunity, from resistance to inquiry. The field responds to frequency. The frequency of your observation rewrites the outcome. Let's use a metaphor. Think of your life as a quantum photograph. Every snapshot is being captured by your awareness. The more you focus on one image, the more it prints into your experience. If you keep snapping the same angle, you get the same picture. But change the lens, adjust the lighting, move your position, and the image changes. Your focus is the lens. Your emotion is the filter. Your belief is the exposure setting. Shift those, and the picture you live in shifts with them. This is where the true power of mindfulness and presence comes into play. Mindfulness isn't just about feeling calm. It's about training your awareness to become a deliberate force. When you practice conscious observation, seeing without judgment, perceiving with openness, you enter a state of energetic influence. You're no longer reacting to the world. You're directing it. There's a practice called attentional hygiene, being aware of what you allow yourself to look at repeatedly, the thoughts you dwell on, the narratives you replay, the feelings you feed with your gaze. This practice isn't about avoiding reality. It's about choosing which version of reality to give life to. When you change what you observe, you change the energetic blueprint you're participating in. And the longer you hold focus on an upgraded version of life with emotion, belief, and presence, the more stable that version becomes. Let's take this deeper. You can use the observer effect to pre-program outcomes. Here's how. Visualize a specific experience just like we explored before, but instead of just seeing it, become the one watching it happen in real time, as if you're witnessing your life evolve. This is a meta-observation. You are not just imagining the outcome, you're observing yourself already living it. Why is this powerful? Because you're layering observation on top of visualization. And that double layer of awareness creates a stronger imprint in the quantum field. You're not just the actor, you're the witness, and the field responds to the observer with precision. Here's a challenge. For the next 72 hours, practice radical attentional awareness. Notice what you're noticing. Each time you catch yourself obsessing over a fear, pause. Don't judge, just redirect. Each time you feel scarcity creeping in, don't fight it. Observe it neutrally, then shift. Bring your gaze to what you want to stabilize, not with desperation, but with presence, with trust. You're not trying to force the field. You're giving it a clear signal, and clarity is magnetic. Remember this, the universe is not watching you. It's responding to what you're watching, and the longer you focus on an outcome, the more gravity it gains. Don't wait for evidence before you focus. Focus, and the evidence will appear. The observer effect is not about being careful. It's about being conscious. You are not a victim of what you see. You are the one generating what appears. Train your awareness to become a creative tool. Refine it. Strengthen it. Use it with mastery, because everything you look at changes. In the next phase, you'll discover how to use your emotions as the fuel for transformation. Not by suppressing them or controlling them, but by transmuting their energy into elevated states that change the structure of your field. You'll learn the real meaning of emotional alchemy, and why your feelings are not obstacles, but portals. Emotions are not random. They're not obstacles. They're not weaknesses. They are energy in motion, pure, raw frequency broadcasting through your system in real time. And that energy is shaping your field far more than thoughts or intentions alone. You've been told to manage your emotions, to control them, to suppress the negative ones and amplify the positive. But energy doesn't respond to suppression. It responds to awareness, movement, and transformation. This is the path of emotional alchemy, not to control what you feel, but to understand that every emotional state holds power. Every emotion is a carrier wave. And when you learn to work with those waves consciously, you unlock a level of self-mastery that most people never touch. Let's start by understanding the mechanics. Your emotions are electrochemical reactions produced in response to thoughts, memories, sensory input, and energetic stimuli. But they don't just stay in your mind. They create real changes in your body, hormones, heart rate, breath patterns, posture. More importantly, they create measurable shifts in your energy field. Each emotion has a frequency range. Shame, guilt, and fear sit at the lower end of the scale. Joy, love, and gratitude vibrate at higher levels. These aren't subjective labels. They're observable states in both scientific and metaphysical frameworks. When you're stuck in lower frequency emotions, your field becomes dissonant, disorganized, weak, and reactive. In that state, you attract more experiences that match that frequency. Not as punishment, but as resonance. But when you shift into higher frequency emotions, your field expands. It becomes coherent, powerful, magnetic. So the goal isn't to avoid emotion. It's to transmute it, to raise its vibration without bypassing its truth. Let's break this down. Transmutation begins with awareness. When a strong emotion arises, anger, grief, anxiety, most people do one of two things. They suppress it or they explode into it. Both options leak energy. Suppression buries the charge into your system, where it festers and disrupts your field. Explosion externalizes it, sending chaotic energy outward, often creating more instability. But there's a third path: presence without resistance. When you feel an emotion rising, pause, breathe. Bring your full awareness to the physical sensation of it. Don't label it. Don't analyze it. Just feel. Where is it in your body? Is it tight, heavy, cold, sharp? Allow it to be there. Let it move. Because energy wants to move. The only reason emotions linger is because they've been resisted. And here's the secret. The moment you stop resisting an emotion, you stop feeding its lower frequency. You begin creating space for it to rise. Now comes the transformation. Once you've allowed the raw emotion to express as sensation, begin breathing into that space. Slow, rhythmic, intentional breath. Not to fix, but to circulate. You're creating movement in the energy field. Next, introduce a new emotion, not as a replacement, but as a frequency overlay. Bring in gratitude, not forced, genuine. Even if it's just for your breath, for your awareness, for the fact that you're noticing this shift. That gratitude doesn't cancel the pain. It raises the pain. It acts as a tuning fork, lifting the frequency of the emotion into a higher octave. That's transmutation. This isn't about being positive all the time. That's bypassing. That's denying your energetic truth. This is about presence with power, choosing not to be ruled by emotion, but to use it as fuel. Every emotion contains energy. You either let it contract you or transform you. When you transmute fear into clarity, grief into compassion, anger into truth, you reclaim the energy hidden in the emotion and repurpose it toward your higher timeline. Let's go deeper. Each core emotion is tied to an energetic center in your body. When that emotion is unprocessed, the corresponding center becomes blocked. Fear constricts the root center. Shame shuts down the sacral. Guilt collapses the solar plexus. Grief closes the heart. Judgment clouds the throat. Doubt distorts the third eye. Disconnection numbs the crown. By recognizing the emotional energy tied to these centers, you can begin clearing blockages not through force, but through conscious emotional release. This is not abstract. You will feel it in your body when a center opens. The breath deepens. The tension lifts. The thoughts become clearer. The external begins to mirror the internal shift. Here's a practical technique: emotional frequency mapping. Step 1. Name what you feel, not as identity but as awareness. This is sadness. This is anxiety. Step 2. Locate it in the body. Is it in the chest, gut, throat? Step 3. Allow it to be there without judging or fixing. Just feel. Step 4. Breathe directly into that space. 4 seconds in, 4 seconds out. Let the breath create room. Step 5. Ask gently, what does this emotion want me to hear? Not to analyze, but to receive. Emotions carry messages. When heard, they relax. Step 6. Overlay a high-frequency state. Gratitude, compassion, awe, and breathe it into the same space. Let the two merge. Let the energy lift. This isn't a trick. It's energetic alchemy. You are not your emotions. You are the alchemist who shapes them. You are not here to be controlled by emotional tides. You are here to harness them, to surf their waves with clarity and to direct their power toward healing and expansion. When you master emotional alchemy, you unlock the full range of your vibrational field. You no longer fear feeling. You welcome it. You work with it. You extract the signal from the noise. And in doing so, you become energetically sovereign. There is one more dimension to this emotional contagion. Your emotional state affects everyone around you. Your field is not contained by your skin. It radiates, communicates, synchronizes. When you elevate your emotions, you elevate environments. Conversations shift. Rooms change. People respond differently and often don't even know why. You're no longer just shifting your life. You're shifting collective frequency through your presence. That is real power. That is transformation. So the next time emotion rises, don't run. Don't react. Don't suppress. Witness it. Welcome it. Work with it. Let it show you where your energy has been trapped and where your power is ready to return. Because every feeling you have is not just a sensation. It's a doorway, and you are the one with the key. In the next part, we explore the power of thought as a multidimensional interface. You'll discover how thoughts aren't just private inner dialogue, but portals into other versions of your reality, broadcasting signals across timelines. You're about to learn the art of activating thought portals and how to access quantum intelligence beyond the mind you've known. Thoughts are not just ideas passing through your mind. They're not background noise. They're not private or passive. Every thought you think carries structure, direction, and energy. Each one is a portal, a gateway to a specific version of reality. This isn't metaphorical. It's functional. The way you think isn't just shaping your mood, it's tuning your consciousness to a specific frequency that aligns with particular timelines, outcomes, and identities. Most people believe that their thoughts are a product of their life. But in truth, their life is a reflection of the dominant patterns of thought they entertain. Let's begin with the foundation. Your thoughts are electromagnetic pulses. They're not confined to your skull. They produce measurable fields, just like your heart, just like your emotions. These fields interact with your nervous system, your biology, and the quantum field around you. When you think a thought with clarity, repetition, and emotion, you're not just contemplating, you're transmitting. That transmission carries a frequency. That frequency is either aligning you with a higher version of self or reinforcing an old, limited pattern. Here's where this becomes powerful. Thoughts are not isolated. They're connected. Each thought links to a network of similar frequencies, a kind of vibrational internet. So when you consistently engage with elevated thought structures, clarity, truth, beauty, expansion, you're not just becoming more positive. You're syncing with a wider field of intelligence that contains answers, insights, and blueprints far beyond your personal memory or logic. This is how you access non-local thought, information that doesn't come from thinking harder, but from tuning higher. Let's look at the difference. Ordinary thought loops are reactive. They're based on memory, repetition, and habit. Quantum thought is creative. It's responsive. It emerges from presence, not from the past. When you quiet the noise of reactive thinking and become still, you open space for new thought patterns to emerge. Not recycled content, but intelligent, alive signal. You've felt this before, those moments when a solution appears fully formed. When an idea clicks into place with no effort. That's not coincidence. That's quantum signal. You weren't thinking harder. You were receiving better. Let's be clear, you're not generating every thought. You're tuning into thought fields. Just like a radio doesn't invent music, it receives what it's tuned to. Your brain isn't inventing thought. It's an antenna, and your emotional state, focus, and frequency determine which stream of thought you're accessing. This is how creativity works. This is how intuition works. This is how downloads happen. You align your energy with a certain field, and that field responds by offering its signal. Now here's the key. Not all thoughts are equal. Some thoughts are low bandwidth, rooted in fear, doubt, ego, comparison. They spiral, contract, and disconnect you from the field. They create noise, not signal. Others are high bandwidth, rooted in presence, curiosity, purpose. They are direct, clear, elevated. They don't create confusion. They create resonance. And here's the best part. You can choose which type you access. Start by watching your current thought patterns. Don't judge them, just observe. What kind of signal are you tuning into most often? Are your thoughts expanding you or collapsing you? Are they broadcasting harmony or distortion? You can track this by how your body feels. Tightness, shallow breath, tension, these point to low-frequency thought loops. Openness, stillness, flow, these point to higher frequency alignment. Once you've observed the pattern, the shift begins. Here's how you activate a new thought portal. Silence creates stillness. Not just quiet, but energetic space. Breathe deeply. Slow everything down. Intention, ask a specific question or state a clear desire. Not from desperation, but from curiosity. Surrender, release the need to control the answer. Let it come in its own form. Receive, stay open. Let images, sensations, phrases, or knowing arise. Don't force logic. Let the signal arrive. Anchor, once you receive the insight, anchor it. Speak it. Write it. Move with it. You've just opened a thought portal and received intelligence that exists beyond the conditioned mind. This is the core of true innovation. This is the secret of genius. Not more data, but clearer connection. Every great thinker, artist, mystic, scientist, they weren't smarter. They were more attuned. And so are you. There's another layer to this. Each thought field is tied to a timeline. When you consistently engage with thoughts of limitation, you remain locked into the timeline where that limitation is real. When you consistently think from your desired future, not about it, but from it, you begin shifting timelines. You start living from the thought field of the version of you who already knows, creates, solves, and moves from clarity. You stop looping. You start leaping. Let's explore a tool called quantum thought rehearsal. Step 1. Identify the current thought pattern you're stuck in. Track it back to the emotion it triggers. Step 2. Ask, what would the version of me who's already clear think about this? Step 3. Let the answer come not from the ego but from stillness. Step 4. Speak that thought out loud. Let it vibrate through your system. Step 5. Repeat it not like an affirmation but like a new command. You're not repeating a belief. You're stabilizing a frequency. The more often you do this, the more your baseline thoughts shift. You start defaulting to higher timelines, and the outer world follows. Here's what to remember. Your thoughts are not just shaping your perception. They're shaping your future. Every time you align with a thought that carries clarity, strength, and resonance, you send a signal through the field. And that signal is matched not in theory but in form. When you change the thought field you live from, you change the life you live in. You don't just think differently. You exist differently. So the next time you catch yourself in a loop, stop, pause, shift the dial, tune up. Your thoughts are not private conversations. They're public broadcasts to the quantum field. And you're the one choosing the station. In the next phase, we enter the quantum body. You'll learn how your physical form is not a fixed container, but a responsive, intelligent interface that can be rewritten with frequency, intention, and belief. You're about to discover how to unlock the hidden intelligence of your cells and begin rewriting your physical blueprint. Your body is not a machine. It's not a static object. It's not a container you're stuck in. It is a dynamic, intelligent interface between energy and matter. It's constantly listening to your thoughts, to your emotions, to your environment, and most importantly, to your beliefs. And it's responding not randomly, but precisely. What you feel, believe, and project isn't just shaping your outer life. It's shaping your biology at the deepest level. This is not pseudoscience. This is the convergence point of epigenetics, quantum biology, and consciousness research. Your body is not just responding to your DNA. It's responding to your perception of reality. For decades, we were told that genes control our destiny, that DNA is fixed, and that we're simply passengers riding out the program. But science now tells a different story. Your genes are not commands. They're switches. And what flips those switches? Signals from the environment. Not just your physical environment, but your internal one. Your thoughts, your emotions, your energetic frequency, all of these send instructions to your cells. Your perception creates chemical messengers. Those messengers bind to receptors, and those receptors influence which genetic programs activate. That means your body is responding to your mind right now, whether you're aware of it or not. But it goes deeper. The quantum model of biology shows that your body isn't a closed system. It's not limited by Newtonian rules of isolated cause and effect. It's an open, vibrating field. Your cells are emitting and receiving frequencies constantly. They communicate not just through chemistry, but through light and vibration. Every cell in your body is a mini antenna, and when you shift your consciousness, you shift the broadcast they're tuned to. This is how spontaneous healing happens. This is how placebo works. This is how intention-based healing creates changes that defy old models of biology. It's not about overriding matter. It's about shifting the energetic blueprint that matter is following. So what is your physical blueprint? It's not your DNA sequence. It's the field your body is organizing itself around. That field holds the information structure your cells follow to maintain function, repair damage, and manage systems. But that field is not fixed. It's influenced by emotion, attention, belief, and intention. You don't heal just by treating symptoms. You heal by reprogramming the field. And that starts with remembering that your body is not separate from your consciousness. It is your consciousness slowed down into form. Let's reframe the idea of illness. Disease is not a punishment. It's not failure. It's feedback. It's the body saying, something in the field is incoherent. Something in your beliefs, thoughts, or environment is out of alignment with your highest pattern. When you listen instead of suppress, you begin the process of repair from the inside out. The symptom is not the problem. It's the messenger. The problem is often hidden. Unfelt emotions, unchallenged beliefs, stored trauma, energy that's been blocked, looped, or ignored. When those patterns are addressed at the energetic level, the physical begins to reorganize. Not always instantly, but undeniably. Here's a critical truth. The body doesn't speak in words. It speaks in sensation and signal. That ache in your chest, that tightness in your gut, that recurring pain you can't explain. These are not annoyances. They are communications. When you ignore them, they amplify. When you listen, they shift. The more you attune to your body, not as a problem to fix, but as a partner to understand, the more intelligence you gain. And that intelligence can guide healing, creativity, and even transformation at the cellular level. Let's talk about intentional regeneration. Cells are constantly dying and being replaced. Skin cells regenerate in weeks, blood in days, bone in months. You are not the same body you were a year ago. But what blueprint are those new cells following? If your field is still carrying fear, resentment, stress, or unworthiness, your new cells will follow that pattern. But when you start broadcasting coherence, through elevated emotions, clear intention, and aligned thought, you feed your cells new instructions. That's how physical transformation becomes possible. That's how chronic conditions dissolve. That's how aging slows down, not because of fantasy, but because of frequency. Let's get practical. Here's a technique called cellular reprogramming meditation. Sit or lie still. Bring your awareness fully into your body. Feel its weight, its breath, its rhythm. Begin breathing deeply 6 seconds in, 6 seconds out. Let your heart and brain come into sync. Choose one area of your body to focus on, an organ, a muscle, a system. Speak to it internally. Thank you. I see you. I release the old instruction. I'm giving you a new one now. Visualize that area glowing with coherent light. Infuse it with gratitude, vitality, peace. Let that emotion saturate the space. Stay there. Hold the frequency. Speak the new signal. You are strong. You are healing. You are aligned with my highest timeline. This isn't visualization for wishful thinking. It's field reprogramming through coherent emotion and focused attention. You're not just calming your mind. You're broadcasting to your cells. There's one more layer. Identity coherence. Your body follows your self-image, not your goals, not your wishes. If you identify as sick, broken, or aging, even unconsciously, your biology mirrors that belief. But when you begin to feel like the version of you who is vital, clear, and whole, your body starts adjusting to match that signal. It's not pretending, it's instructing. And over time, those instructions take root. You are not locked into your genetics. You are not at the mercy of your symptoms. You are the conscious commander of a highly intelligent biological interface. And when you treat it like the living field that it is, it responds. Not by magic, by design. So the next time you feel pain, listen. The next time your energy drops, pause. The next time you feel disconnected from your body, return. Not with fear, with authority, because you're not separate from your body. You are its voice. You are its signal. You are its field. And when your frequency shifts, so does your form. In the next phase, you'll discover how identity is not fixed, how you can shift into the version of you that already lives your future reality by aligning with its frequency, structure, and actions. You're about to learn the practice of identity shifting, and how to become the self your higher timeline is already waiting for. Most people try to change their lives by doing more, trying harder, or fixing what's broken. But effort alone rarely leads to lasting transformation, because action without identity alignment is unsustainable. Real change doesn't happen when you achieve a goal. It happens when you stop being the version of you that created the limitation in the first place. Your identity isn't just a self-concept. It's a frequency, a blueprint you're projecting into the field moment by moment. And every experience you attract is responding to that signal. You already exist in multiple versions across the quantum field. There is a version of you that feels strong, decisive, calm. A version that moves with clarity. A version that already lives in the reality you keep striving toward. That version is not somewhere in the future. It's accessible now, through the portal of identity shift. You don't need to invent this version. You need to align with it. Let's strip this down to what identity really is. It's not your name, not your job, not your personality traits. It's the set of beliefs, emotional patterns, behaviors, and assumptions that you consistently express. That structure becomes familiar. It feels like you, but it's not fixed. It's fluid. And the moment you begin operating from a new set of beliefs, emotions, and behaviors, even if they feel unfamiliar at first, you begin occupying a new identity. Not gradually, immediately. And when identity shifts, your signal shifts. And when your signal shifts, your timeline shifts. Here's what to understand. You're not changing who you are. You're choosing which version of you to embody. Just like tuning a radio, you don't build a new station. You switch to it. The self that already has the health, relationships, confidence, or clarity you want, that self is not something to become. It's a frequency to sync with. That version thinks differently, feels differently, walks, talks, and chooses differently. And the more you act, speak, and think in alignment with that version, the more familiar it becomes. The more natural it feels. The more your outer world begins to catch up. But here's where most people stop themselves. The story of who they've been. They believe identity is formed by history, by personality tests, by childhood conditioning. So even when new desires emerge, they evaluate them through the filter of the old self. Am I ready? Do I deserve it? Can I really change? Those aren't questions. They're anchors, pulling you back into a timeline that no longer serves you. The key is to release the need for continuity. You do not owe your future to your past. Let's introduce a concept called timeline casting. This is the practice of acting as the version of you that already lives the reality you desire. Not in fantasy, but in frequency. You ask, how does this version of me speak to themselves? How do they make decisions? What do they stop doing? What do they no longer tolerate? What do they expect without doubt? You don't wait to feel ready. You shift your actions to match that identity now. And your nervous system begins to rewire. Your brain chemistry starts shifting. Your body starts adapting to this new set of commands. But make no mistake, this will trigger resistance. The old identity will protest. It will whisper, "This isn't you. You're faking it. People will notice." That's not a sign to stop. That's a sign you're crossing timelines. Your subconscious mind has been conditioned to preserve the familiar, even if the familiar is limited, painful, or outdated. So when you begin shifting identity, you're disrupting the program. And like any system, it will resist interruption. But that resistance is temporary if you don't negotiate with it. Here's a practice to stabilize identity shift. Future self-integration. Visualize the version of you who already lives the outcome you're stepping into. Don't just see them, become them. Feel their emotional state. How do they carry themselves? What does their inner dialogue sound like? Now, from that version, look back at your current self, not with judgment but with compassion. What advice would they give? Speak that advice out loud. Let it override the old narrative. Throughout your day, check in. Am I acting from my old self or my future self? Each time you return to the new signal, you reinforce the shift. This isn't about pretending. This is about activating. And over time, the old identity loses its charge. The emotional hooks fade. The thoughts that once controlled you dissolve. You stop reacting from old programs and start responding from your highest alignment. This is what it means to embody transformation. Not to hope, not to wait, but to become. And here's the most powerful part. When identity shifts, you don't just feel different. You become a different attractor. You speak new language. You walk with different posture. You radiate a different frequency. And that signal is not subtle. The quantum field mirrors it. People feel it. Opportunities align with it. Synchronicity increases. Because the field is always responding to who you are now, not who you're trying to be. So the question is not, how do I get there? The question is, who do I need to be now that already lives there? Let this sink in. You're not waiting to become. You're choosing to align. Every thought, every decision, every emotional response, it either casts a vote for your past or your higher self. Choose with intention. Speak with clarity. Act with precision. Because your identity isn't something you inherit. It's something you create. And you're creating it right now. In the next phase, you'll bring all of this together into manifestation mastery. You'll learn how to code the quantum field with structured desire, not by hoping, but by transmitting a signal the field can't ignore. You're about to learn how to create from identity, not lack, and how to hold the signal of the end until it becomes your new beginning. Manifestation is not magic. It's not fantasy. And it's not about convincing the universe to give you what you want. It's about coding the quantum field with a coherent, sustained signal, one that matches the reality you intend to experience. The field is not listening to your words. It's not responding to your effort. It's responding to your frequency, the full body, full field signal you emit with your thoughts, emotions, beliefs, and identity. And when that signal becomes coherent, consistent, and aligned with the outcome you claim, reality begins to shift. Not someday, not maybe, but inevitably. Let's start by clearing up a myth. Most people think of manifestation as a process of getting. I want this, they say, so I'll visualize it, affirm it, think positively about it, and wait for it to appear. But desire without alignment becomes resistance. The very act of wanting from a place of lack reinforces the absence. You're not just sending out a request. You're broadcasting the frequency of, I don't have it. And the quantum field mirrors that signal. So real manifestation doesn't start with want. It starts with being. It's not about what you're trying to get. It's about who you've decided to be now. Let's talk about the end signal. This is the energetic imprint of the version of you who already has, feels, and lives the desired outcome. Not hoping for it. Not waiting for it. Living it. When you access that state, you are no longer chasing the reality, you are broadcasting from within it. This is the signal the field responds to. Not your struggle, not your wish, but your embodied certainty. You create not by reaching, but by radiating. So how do you code that signal? Step 1, clarity. You must know what you're tuning into, not just the surface goal, but the deeper frequency. What does this outcome represent emotionally? Security? Freedom? Joy? Expansion? Your job is to identify the core feeling, because that's the signal that creates resonance. Step 2. State generation. Next, bring your body and field into coherence with that emotion. Use breath, visualization, memory, or pure intention to generate the inner state of already experiencing the outcome. Let that state saturate your cells. Let it become normal. Let it anchor. Step 3. Identity match. Now speak, think, and move as the version of you who lives that reality. Let your decisions reflect that self. Let your posture reflect that self. Let your choices reinforce that alignment. This is where most people fall off. They align in meditation, but contradict it in action. And the signal gets scrambled. Step 4. Field broadcast. From that state, speak your intention into the field, not as a request, but as a declaration. This is done. This is who I am now. This is already in motion. The field doesn't respond to doubt. It responds to signal clarity. Step 5. Surrender. Once the signal is sent, let go of control. Let go of needing to know how, when, or through whom it will appear. This is not giving up, it's trusting the intelligence of the field to do what it does best. Organize itself around your frequency. This process is not about time. It's about stability. How long can you hold the signal without collapsing into the old pattern? How many moments can you return to the end state, even when there's no evidence yet? Because every moment you hold the frequency of the outcome is a moment you're broadcasting instructions into the field. And when the signal becomes stable enough, reality bends. Not because of force, but because the field always seeks resonance. Here's a truth most people miss. You're manifesting all the time. Every thought, belief, and emotion is a code. Every identity you step into is a command. The question isn't whether you're manifesting. It's what you're manifesting, by default or by design. Let's look at a common block: attachment. When you become fixated on a specific outcome, timing, or pathway, you create friction in the field. You're no longer operating from trust, you're trying to micromanage the quantum. Attachment broadcasts fear. Fear collapses possibility. But when you hold the outcome lightly while anchoring deeply in the end state, you allow space for the field to move. You stop chasing and start magnetizing. Here's a simple practice to lock in your signal daily. Quantum coding loop. Each morning, ask, what is the frequency of the outcome I'm living today? Generate that frequency. Use breath, music, movement, memory, whatever activates the emotional state. Speak the signal. Today, I broadcast the field of freedom, abundance, love, etc. Throughout the day, check in. Am I still in the signal? If not, pause. Re-enter the frequency. Resend the signal. This builds field integrity. You stop dipping in and out. You become a stable transmitter. And that stability creates inevitability. There's one more layer: expectancy without need. Expectancy is powerful. It tells the field, I know it's real. Need is destructive. It tells the field, it's not here yet. You must expect with calm confidence, not with anxious urgency. You must hold the outcome as certain while being fully rooted in presence. That balance, certainty without clinging, is what accelerates alignment. So let's recap. You are not trying to manifest. You are broadcasting a frequency. That frequency creates resonance. That resonance shapes matter, time, and opportunity. You're not pulling the future toward you. You're entering the timeline where it's already true. And the field always responds. Stop asking for your future to come. Start living from the self who already knows it's done. No more hoping. No more chasing. No more waiting. Broadcast. Hold. Trust. That's manifestation mastery. In the final chapter of this series, we'll go beyond achievement. You'll learn what it means to live as a quantum creator, not to just create outcomes, but to live from a deeper dimension of purpose, presence, and ongoing evolution. The journey doesn't end when you manifest. That's where your real power begins.